We ask you to turn your cell phones off. We're going to start within the next minute. All right, everybody, take your seats. Administration.
Yeah, man. What's up, Tom?
Tom, come on. Thank you all for being here today. I want to formally open the meeting for October 16th. Council members, any special intentions today? Hearing none. Deacon, as soon as you take a seat. Deacon Rapier, if you could lead us in the invocation. Amen. Council Member McKinney, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, today, our votes will be by roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum this morning. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor this morning? Seeing none, we move on to the consent agenda. Item 1 is approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of October 1st, 2020. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A, application number 2219-20, South Lake Villages to hold a public gathering on October 31st, 2020 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of a Halloween gathering in the 200 block of Cotton Bayou Lane. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask everybody to get really close to the mic. Again, in this large room, we have a large echo.
Thank you, Council Chairman. Is that good? I have a few things to go over, then we're going to have a presentation from Ms. Candace Watkins on some good news that's going on. First, let me just give some credit to the things that are going on. In the middle of a pandemic, we're still obviously working, still doing the things that we have to do. And Visit Kenner obviously is still doing as much as they can do with obviously hotel, motel sales tax that's down and because of the occupancy. But the Convention South, which is an organization, has given them the prestigious Reader's Choice Award. I know I've read this before in the past that they have received this. This is used by meeting planners throughout the country. 3,000 nominations in the country, 380 received this honor. So they are one of the 380 that received this honor. In the state of Louisiana, there's 31, and we're one of those 31. So I think that says volumes of what Carolyn Barrett, along with her group, her board, what they're doing throughout the city of Kenner. Convention South's words, and I quote, were this about Visit Kenner. Proof that Visit Kenner is moving forward and making important making an important impact on the industry. It says a lot, and I want to say thank you to Ms. Carolyn Barrett and her board again, and everyone who supports Visit Kenner. It's very, very important. We are doing something in District 1, which Councilman Carroll has been involved in, Amazon's TV series, Leverage 2.0. It's a series that was on TV a few years ago, and now they're doing the second part of it, 2.0. They're filming in Rivertown. It's a crime drama, and Noah Wiley from ER is one of the stars. So if you pass by Rivertown, you see the things that are going on, and that speaks to what we're doing with my office, with Miss Mary Sharon Holland, reaching out to these groups, along with Lee Roussel, along with Key TV, all the people that are involved making this happen. They do have 50 crew members down there. They are practicing social distancing. We've made sure that they're doing those things, and they are doing a good job. So we're going to run that, I think, on Facebook and try to help them as much as we can. Remember, we do get fees from this, which helps the city of Kenner. So as we see these things going on, it's important to promote these things and let people know that we are still doing what we need to do here in the city of Kenner. Speaking of that, you obviously have a few things before you today. You have a budget that needs to be approved. In that budget, remember this, we have close to $57 million worth of capital projects. So we are still doing what the city needs us to do, what our residents need us to do. We are still moving forward with that. $57 million in capital projects is what will be approved today with what we're doing throughout the city of Kenner. So when you hear these things that, you know, and I keep going back to this because it's important, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing that the city of Kenner is not open for business and the city of Kenner is not moving forward. We have not missed a lick. We have not missed one step. We continue to do these things, and I think the capital improvements that we're doing, when you reach close to $57 million, is extremely important. Talking about moving forward, doing the things that we're doing, we are going to hear from Ms. Candace Watkins and her Economic Development Board, appointed by me, and each and every one of you all are here today. Members of that board are here today. What are they here for? They're here for a presentation about Atlantis. We know that we've been talking about this for many years. The city of Kenner, past administrations, past councils have talked about what are we going to do in Laketown. We have definitely prioritized this as design administration, and each and every one of you all, including specifically you, Councilman Hayes, have made sure, because it's in District 3, Laketown, that this will be the future of the city of Kenner. When I've been out at civic associations and also this board that's sitting behind us, they have said that is what we need to do here. That is going to be the marker that people remember and have people come to the city of Kenner. Many steps have been taken by others to make this happen. This administration, this council are the ones that are going to see this through, along with economic development and that board. So when I sit here and take credit along with you all that this administration, this council are part of it, the Economic Development Board is absolutely part of it, and also Economic Development Department. These are the things that we will continue to do throughout the city of Kenner, but focusing right here, right now on this is the most important thing. In 2018, Laketown Market Research Feasibility and Disposition Strategies was conceived. We actually put that together. We went out there and put this together and put that out there so we would find out what we could use this site for. The use of this site had challenges. The challenges that we have still today and have had in the past are geotech challenges, the ground lease with the state, and multiple levy and engineering issues. Now, the ground lease with the state was addressed, and I got to give credit to someone that has absolutely made this happen, is Ms. Debbie Villio, our state representative. That ground lease was changed in this past session in the middle of a pandemic, with sessions being thrown around, to 99 years. Having that at 99 years is going to attract someone. We knew that. We wanted to have that proposal out early part of this year. We did put out one, not many responses, actually none, put out another one, and now we have Atlantis Group that has responded to it. That's important. One response, but that's important. It's where we're going to be, and it's who we need to work with. At this point, and Councilman Hayes knows this because every step that we've taken, we've worked with the District 3 office on this, and also District 3 has worked with us. We sent that letter off to the state. We asked the state to please work with Atlantis. What we have here today is a presentation by Ms. Candace Watkins, who's going to take you through what Atlantis will be. Mr. Donald Bailey will be here within the next couple of meetings. He was trying to make it for today, but it didn't happen. When Mr. Donald Bailey did come to me, though, he talked about a lot of big names that would be involved with it. He talked about a few names with me, my administration, and Ms. Watkins of who he could bring. Well, I can tell you this. Last Labor Day, I actually sat with Warren Moon, famous Warren Moon, NFL Warren Moon. He came in. He sat with us in New Orleans at a restaurant, talked about what he wanted to do here, being part of it, and actually he said, I want to see it. So Warren Moon has been out there to that facility, to that area, to look at what can happen. I think you'll see other big names come with Atlantis too. So as this project moves on, and after you hear what's going to happen at Laketown, with everything falling right in place, I think we're going to see some big names come to the city of Kenner, and that's what our future's about. Again, I want to thank Debbie Villio, Kurt Talbot as the senator, and I want to thank Joe Stagney, South Kenner guy, and also Gary Smith, a South Kenner senator. But those three people helped Debbie make sure that this would happen. And I also, most importantly, want to thank Candace Watkins with economic development. I, sometimes get tired of hearing also, what is economic development doing? Well, sit back, put your seatbelts on, because you're going to find out. Ms. Watkins.
Thank you, Mirasan. Councilman Hayes, can you hear me?
If you could get closer to the mic, I want everybody to hear the good words.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
All right. Moving right along. I want to, again, welcome our Economic Development Advisory Board members this morning. Thank them for coming. Our chair, Marie Klesse, could not be with us this morning, and I just want to say, Marie, we love you and we miss you. Moving right along, it's very exciting for me to be a part of this project that the city has been working toward for a long time. And the administration has taken a very deliberate and methodical approach to attracting the right proposal, and I hope you're going to agree with me that this is a very glamorous and ambitious proposal for the city of Kenner. We're very excited about it. So next slide, please. Okay. Keeping up. So just to let you know about the proposers, Atlantis Partners LLC was put together by members of Atlantis Gaming Group Corporation, strictly to put this proposal together and to build this development. Next slide. What you're going to see in just a minute, the layout and the composition of the project includes 2 luxury condominium hotels comprised of 300 units, an atrium building that connects those 2 hotels to the mainland, a boardwalk shopping, dining, entertainment complex with a jazz club and a 1,500-seat theater, an outdoor stage with amphitheater-style festival grounds that the city has prioritized for a long time, ample parking garage, lush landscaping, water's edge promenades, a marina, and a state-of-the-art hotel. The initial investment that will be made in the first 3 phases is $350 million, with the 4th phase as a future phase at $100 million, comprising a total development of $450 million investment in the city of Kenner. All of what you're going to see is constructed on floating concrete barges. Next slide, please. So this is the first visual. It's the western view of the site, And at this point, I'd like for Mike to please play a 3-minute video, which will give you a much stronger feeling of what the quality level is in this investment and what you can expect. So at this point, no one should have socks on. So, Mike, if you would go to the next slide. And one more back. Yes, so this is the western view. And then the next slide depicts the promenade between the retail and the condominium building. One more slide. This is the Moulin Rouge Jazz Club and Theater. The next slide just runs you back through the amenities. So music venues, outdoor concert stage, restaurants, clubs, retail shops and galleries, meeting, convention, and reception spaces, walking paths, the marina. Next slide, Mike. This is an overhead site plan. Don't be upset that the treasure chest is in the wrong spot, but on the other visuals, it's in the correct spot. Just gives you an idea of how the site lays out. The next slide, Mike. This outlines the phases. In phase 1, infrastructure and utilities, stage and festival grounds, condominium hotel buildings, the atrium building, and the parking garage. Phase 2 is the floating boardwalk shopping and entertainment center. Phase 3 is the jazz club theater entertainment complex, the marina, and the large vessel docking and mooring. And then phase 4, which is a future phase, is the state-of-the-art hotel. Next slide. So lending strength to the proposal are the participated letters of intent to perform services and be part of the overall development. Westgate's Resorts, Hill International, Wheat Zollers, Luciano Lamberti's is a restaurant group, Strather Associates is an investment firm. Westgate, Wheat Zollers, and Hill International all have offices in the United States and other countries around the world. And the last slide are our local partners. The Gibbs Construction, as you know, just completed the airport terminal building. They've built several other notable structures in the New Orleans area. Coastal Concrete Products is the company that's going to build the barges. Modus Inc. is a local architectural firm, and MCC Group is a real estate development company. Some of you may know Joe Yeager, the owner. They own the J Collection of properties, which includes 17 hotels in the New Orleans area, including the New Orleans Airport Hotel here in Kenner. And for this morning, that's what we have. I'm happy to answer any questions. The details and numbers we will wait and discuss with representatives from Atlantis when they're able to be here with us. And I hope that you're as excited as I am about what you just saw.
Thank you very much, Ms. Watkins. This is a major step forward. Thank you for all your hard work and your committee's hard work. Obviously, we've talked about development of a Laketown for 20 years, and this is a major step in the right direction. So thank you all very much for all the hard work that you have put into this. Mr. Mayor?
So this is what we do when we finally get to that point where we can talk about economic development. We come to a council meeting and our private discussions, Councilman Hayes, because this is District 3, become public now. And why is that? Because it's the time for everyone to know, because we don't want to lose something like this. So just remember, when we're not talking about economic development, we're working on economic development. This is in the stages now where we need to let the public know so it doesn't get stolen by somebody else. We're going to keep it here in Kenner. I'm pretty sure it's not going anyplace. That's why the public is hearing about it now. So I want to thank one special resident, particularly Mr. Greg Teff, because he asked this question, and I know he supports this kind of presentation. And I think he asked it at the last council meeting, and I think I promised that we would be bringing something here. So this is how we do it. We want to make sure it stays in the city of Kenner. Look, we work with our parish, we work with our surrounding cities. Absolutely, we're friends with everybody, but let's keep it in Kenner, and this is how you do it. So again, thank you to Councilman Hayes and the rest of the council, and also our Economic Development Committee and Economic Development. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any comments? Yes. Councilmember McKinney? Close to the mic.
Yes, thank you. I thank you, Ms. Watkins, for your presentation, and I think that's very exciting. I think that that's such an opportunity for Kenner. I just had one quick question. And I didn't see their name listed, Boyd Gaming. How is this related for obviously the treasure chest that's out there? How is the treasure chest and the floating casino, how is that built into this development in relation to that?
Treasure Chest has the license for this area. So Boyd Gaming, I'm sorry. Boyd Gaming has the license for this area. This is by no means anything that would harm the treasure chest, that we would attempt to even break that relationship that we have. We absolutely want to keep treasure chests here. Like I said, they have the license for this area. This is what you see being done right now if there's a situation that they can work something in the future, I know Atlantis and Boyd Gaming they have met in the past. I know they would be more than willing to work something out. But again, for the record, Boyd Gaming / Treasure Chest has the license for this area.
Right, and I guess my question was, are they part of this development as well?
I mean,
So
I can't get to the point where I discuss their meetings because we're not involved in their meetings, and that shouldn't be a public discussion
But they
anyway.
are meetings, so.
But they have met in the past. If there's something that they can work out for the future, I'm sure those two great corporations will work something out and come to some type of understanding. But for right now, look, Treasure Chest is looking, it's no secret, Treasure Chest here in the city of Kenner is looking at doing something land-based also. So we would absolutely, positively, as we met before COVID with them, welcome that to Laketown also. And I also want to thank Councilman Hayes has been involved in those meetings also.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Councilman Segura? Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I too would like to thank Councilman Haynes and the administration, the mayor, Mayor Zahn, and particularly Ms. Watson for this particular presentation today. It is something that, someone has been on the council as myself as long, or have been longing for the days to be able to promote both ends of the city. I am from the south side. The north side is just as important because as we both grow, everything within the middle will grow. So I'm excited for the north side of Kenner and anticipate Ms. Watson's support for South Kenner. Obviously on the south side we have our own challenges. The south side is where the city of Kenner was established. It is more residential than the north side. There are homes, there are people that no matter what we do, that is the piece that always has to be a priority. And it is something, as Ms. Watkins can attest to, that is something that I look forward to being progressive, but something that's conducive for the neighborhood. And I think with the number of restaurants we have in place now, the historic district, some of the entertainment that's going on, so far it has been conducive for the neighborhood. And we look forward, we anticipate, we are excited about future development in the south side of Kenner. So again, thank you, Ms. Watkins, very much. We look forward to working together with you. Thank you, administration, Mayor Zahn, and the entire council, particularly Councilman Haynes, for this development in Laketown. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilman Brannigan?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to thank the administration and you, Councilman Hayes. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said when we get the development done in Laketown, it is going to explode Kenner. It's going to be one of the greatest things that could possibly happen to our city, and this is unbelievable. I just would like to ask Candace, are they starting tomorrow?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Are they driving pilings tomorrow?
Oh, no, Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, any other comments? All right. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item 5 is acceptance, rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. We have none.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilman Wilmot, to approve the consent agenda. Council members, let's vote by roll call.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,752, an ordinance adopting and superseding and amending operating budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending July 30th, 2021, and providing for related matters.
First of all, Madam Clerk, would you bring that mic closer to you?
Sure. Let me clarify. This is summary ordinance number 12,754.
Motion by Councilman Brennan, second by Councilman Segura to open the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to open your hearing.
Councilman Brennan. Closer to the mic.
Your mic's not on, sir.
Pardon me. I'd like to make a motion for an amendment to add some supporting pages to the budget, please.
Okay, Councilman, we would be glad to do that. Let's close your hearing. Once we're out of your hearing, then we can entertain any amendments that we may have to the ordinance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any more discussion in the public hearing right now? Hearing no further discussion in the hearing, if we could get a motion in a second to close your hearing, sir.
Do we have a first? Councilman
Councilmember
Segura.
Brennan. Motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Segura to close your hearing. Councilmember McKinney.
Yay.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Yay.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yay.
Councilmember Segura.
Yay.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Councilmember Brannigan.
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Okay. We now have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, second by Councilmember Segura for the adoption. And I believe that we have a motion by Councilmember Segura, Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Segura on an amendment. Is that correct?
Yes.
If someone could start the discussion on the amendment. Go ahead, please, Councilman Brennan.
Well, we've received some amendments from the Finance Department, and I'll refer these to Mr. Wetzel, please.
Sure, thank you. What you have in front of you is just several pages that,
If you'd bring the mic real close to you.
closer than this? Okay. So what you have in front of you are several pages that we had to adjust. We've added the budget letter to the budget. We added charts to the budget. Table of contents changed. We did have one personnel change in the food bank. It was just being picked up in the wrong department. What we have to realize is that one change to just one department pretty much is a change to about 10 to 15 pages in the budget, because it affects the charts, it affects the summary pages, it affects the financials, it affects everything. So that's why it's so lengthy of a packet.
But with that being said, the numbers and dollar amounts stay the same.
Correct. The only thing that changed was, like I said, the dollar amount in the food bank department, but overall, no, it didn't
Yes.
change.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Councilman Carroll, did you have a discussion that you wanted to?
Mr. President, I wanted to first let the amendment get in, and then I'll be able to address after everything is amended, if it's amended.
All right, let's vote on the amendment by roll call.
So the amendment, the clerk needs to clarify, it's substitutive pages, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have page numbers or something that the clerk can put for the record as to,
I can bring you the packet if you like.
okay, yeah, I'll need, I need something to clarify what exactly is this amendment. What would you like me to title this amendment as, or clarify, or classify it as?
Madam Clerk, this is just an amendment to substitute and add pages to the Exhibit A to the budget, and the amendment can be taken that way.
Okay, all right. On the amendment, substituting pages to the amendment, is there any further discussion? Council members, please vote on the amendment to substitute pages to the budget. Councilmember Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yay.
I'm sorry, Councilman Carroll. Nay?
Yay.
Oh, yay. Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan,
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1. Councilmember Wilmot. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. Yeah, I have an amendment I'd like to offer as well. I had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Foshee the other day. I had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Foshee the other day, and I understand that she's in agreement with me that it's redundant to have Section 6 in the language of the ordinance, and I'd like to have it removed. So I'll offer that amendment.
Ms. Fauché?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, Councilman Wilmot and I spoke. There is a provision in the ordinance authorizing the city to borrow funds. The city already has the ability to borrow funds. It's in multiple locations. So this is really a redundant provision. It doesn't add anything either to the budget or to the city's powers. So Councilman Wilmot is correct. By removing it, there is no impact on the city.
Thank you.
All right. After discussion, we have an amendment. Motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Segura.
Wait, who's,
Yeah, it's my
I
motion.
thought that was Wilmot's amendment.
It's my motion.
Councilmember Wilmot, could
Do
you...
we have a second to the amendment?
I'll second.
Councilman Brannigan?
Okay, can the council clerk get that amendment clarified again? Mr. Wilmot, I can't, you're not close enough to your microphone for me to hear you.
Sure. Section 6 of the proposed ordinance, that Section 6 be removed.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, you're not close enough. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, sorry.
I know you got the laptop in front of you.
Okay, so the amendment on the floor is to delete Section 6 from the ordinance. Any discussion on the amendment? Councilman Carroll on the amendment?
Yay.
Councilmember Segura?
Yay.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Yay.
Okay, motion passes 7-0 to delete Section 6 from the ordinance. Do we have any further amendments? Back to your original motion. Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Segura, and we have some discussion on the motion, on the ordinance. Councilmember Carroll?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. President. And yes, my comments are based on the budget that we are about to vote on. And before I get into my final comments, I'd like to say that, you know, the city of Kenner, as opposed to other cities throughout the country, has done a fantastic job with maintaining employees, one, safety, and to be able to maintain that the employees and their families are able to maintain a living with a salary. That is some places where they're having difficulty with all the millions of people who are no longer able to work. So for us to be able to provide that goes without saying, one of the greatest things that we can do, besides the safety. Not only safety, but to be able to provide the public with safety, to be able to provide the employees with testing opportunities and opportunities whenever an individual is challenged by the COVID-19, that the proper procedures are put in place to ensure that the infection does not spread more than it possibly could. We have done a fantastic job with that. And also, as far as our job as the administration, Mayor Zahn, and the council, the number one goal is to keep the city solvent. And just like all the other administrations prior to us, it was their jobs to keep us solvent. And I think we have done that far beyond what other municipalities are able to do. And that is a plus always, and going forward, that's what we have to do. But as with that said, with the budget that we are proposing. Obviously, our first response in the middle of this pandemic was to maintain the prior FY 1920, because we had to have a budget, we had to get something in place, and I think it was good to be able to maintain that, not to increase anything. And that happened. And today, those are some of my additional comments about some of the increases that this budget include. And the enclosure is, obviously, when you do something on a Monday, on Tuesday, things could change. For instance, when we had to add a contractor to ensure that the city ambiance, the city grass, all of those things, because of our employees being sick, we had to do something. There could have been other ways to do it, but we had to do something that would change. So I don't want to say change is not good, because sometimes you have to change. And that was a good change, to be able to put a contractor in to be able to ensure that the ambiance of the city, the way it looks, and it is showing from the river to the lake, it is showing the good that that contract did. So as it relates to my comments, are not negative, but my concerns is that we are still in the middle or towards the end, I hope, of this pandemic. And I think that should still be our focus, to be able to ensure that from this point going forward, probably through the end of this FY, that we make conscious decisions that will ensure that we are there. And then beyond that, that is our goal as long as we're on the council. So the thing that I'm having a concern with as it relates to this budget is the number of increases in salaries positions. Now, I have had differences of opinion with every administration as the process. I have a new conversation with Ms. Foshi about me understanding salary increases and promotions. I obviously use those two, but that's just me. That's what I do. But the bottom line is, in my opinion, during this pandemic and beyond, I think we should be real conscious of that. And to be able to increase or promote is something I think we should not do. We should monitor this. We should have, obviously, conversations between the administration, the mayor, and the council that addresses that. And to ensure that we are being solvent, that if we are going to increase, and it's not about any individual, it is about the increases and about the amount of the increases that we have to be conscious of and continue to be conscious of. So while the 90% of the budget is something I think we've done a great job with, I guess it's that 10% that includes the increases of the salaries that I do not support. And I do not believe that we should be doing that right now. Nothing against any of the individuals, because I think as a person doing their job and their support and love for the city is fantastic. Do I agree how it was phased in? I disagree with that. I think it should have been more phased than one particular increase or one change. That is my personal opinion based on the situation that the state is in right now. So as it relates to that, I would like to, after hearing everybody else's opinion about that, about possibly addressing that. If not, then I will not be able to support it because of that. So I like to hear, maybe I will change my mind after I hear, but just to go on record, I disagree with the salary increases / promotions that's being, addressed in this budget. Again, it's not personal, it's not against anyone, it's not a reflection of what they can or can't do, but I believe at this point, on this juncture of our budget and the COVID situation, we should be conscious of that. So that is what I'd like to say, and then I may have some closing comments after, Mr. President. Thank you.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, have an issue, and I agree with Councilman Carroll as to what he's saying. And as a result, I mean, you have salary increases versus promotion? Who has the authority to do so, and how is it done? Do you simply have it internally and pass it through the budget where the people aren't a part of the process? Or do you have it out in the open and it's transparent in front of the people by special ordinance? And that's my concern. I think we've had several promotions, they're dubbed as promotions, but with those promotions comes pay raises. And as a result, that has an impact on the city budget. Those are tax revenues that are going out. And as a result, the people have a right to hear where their money's being spent. Again, it needs to be done by special ordinance, in my opinion, to have transparency, to have citizen input in how we are spending the taxpayer dollars. We represent the people. The people have a right to know where their money is going, and I wholeheartedly support that. I believe that our charter, specifically section 2.13F, is dedicated towards that issue, and it directs it. And I think we had an Attorney General opinion some years back, I think it was 2011, where they addressed this issue, maybe not directly, but it is in their opinion, and it's clear that any time supervisors' pay changes, it needs to become before the council, before special ordinance. Especially when you have tax revenues down. We're using $6.74 million of our fund balance currently, and that's in the mayor's letter on the budget. So we're tapping into our reserves. And now promotions are being given, already given, to several unclassified city employees in a supervisory capacity. I think that these financial pay increases, again, need to be before the city council, before special ordinance. Also, I have asked the question in the past, and I would like to know the answer to this again: how is our unfunded liability being impacted by these pay raises? Are we going to have an issue in the future, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when these people retire? Those are all questions I have, and I'd like to see if the administration could answer these questions for me.
Thank you, Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you.
Ms. Foshay.
Yeah, let me just go first. I know I didn't speak to Councilman.
Mr. Mayor, if you could get close to your mic.
I didn't speak to Councilman Carroll, but I know Ms. Foshay did, and I know that conversation went very well, and I knew that some of the comments you were going to make, and I appreciate that. But Councilman Wilmot, I'm a little surprised because you and I did speak, and we spoke not in person, but face-to-face on Zoom, and I thought I addressed some of those things before you said that. And that's why we're here today. We're here today at a public hearing where these things are done. But I guess the question I would have to ask to you, Councilman Wilmot, is, are you aware with the, you want to call them increases, raises, whatever you want to call them, are you aware of how much we made in cuts and how many positions and what that yielded?
Yeah. I know we have made cuts in certain areas, and I appreciate that, but I don't think we need to do increases at this time during a COVID pandemic. This is not the right time. I think it looks bad.
Right.
It's a bad
Right.
decision.
You've stated that already, but I'm just asking the question, do you know how many cuts we've made, how many positions we've cut, and what the dollar amount is that? Are you aware of that?
I am aware that we have had them, but to me, that's not.
All right.
It's
Well, let me.
But it's not. It's important, but it's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is pay raises versus promotions.
Right. So pay raises equals dollars. So the issue at hand that you have is what we're talking about, what I'm addressing right now. In cuts with positions, for the record, it's 60 positions cut in the city of Kenner. That yields $1 million of taxpayer money. The raises that you so call them, what I have called as adjustments, will cost the taxpayers $150,000 out that million saved. My case is closed. I'm gonna turn this over to Ms. Foshee because she will be able to go detail for detail. But if we're talking about dollars, again, for the record, 60 positions equal $1 million. Adjustments that this administration has the power to do, and what I have done has cost $150,000 other than $1 million saved. Ms. Foshee.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You're all hurting my feelings. Because I prepared for a presentation, and I don't normally get like shot down until I've made the presentation. So if y'all don't mind, let me make the presentation, and then if you disagree with me, that would be fabulous. But there's a whole lot going on here. And I guess I want to start with, once upon a time, there was a mayor named Segura. And while his term was short, his legacy is mighty. Because in January of 2016, Mayor Segura inherited from the prior administration a $6 million fund balance. How you did not go bankrupt, I have no idea. So based upon the conservative approach used by the Segura administration, working with the Zahn administration, in 4 years, we took the fund balance from 6 to 16.5. That is more than $10 million. There is a lot to be thankful for there. And there's a lot to be thankful for today because of that. Because of the conservative nature, because of the efforts made by both the Segura administration and the Zahn administration, we now have some cushion today. We have the ability to do what Councilman Carroll is saying and protect our employees. I want to talk briefly, and then for the details, I'm turning it over to Mike, and I'll circle back around with you guys on the personnel issues, because there's a lot more in this budget. As Councilman Carroll says, 90% of it he's okay with. So let's get through that 90% so the public can hear what's going on, and then I will circle back with you about the issues that you and I have also talked about, Councilman Wilmot, about the difference between raises and promotions, and also the unfunded liabilities that you spoke about briefly. But I just want to say that when we started out in March, because that's when we always, I say Mike and I, it's mainly Mike, it's a little bit me. In March, we start our budget preparation for the following year. And the reason we start in March is because it's due to you on May 1st. And in March, we were projecting, based upon revenues, our sales taxes were up 6.27%. We were projecting a tax surplus of $1.52 million, and our total revenues were over by 1.9. Again, the legacy of both the Segura and Zahn administrations to bring us to fiscal stability. On March 14, due to COVID-19, Mayor Ben Zahn declared a state of emergency. On March 17, we were fully operational here in the Pontchartrain Center. 2 weeks later, we had established a remote network, and the city never closed. How we did that is a testament to many, many, many employees. Some are here today, some are not. But when you get a chance to thank a city employee, you see some guy standing on the side of the street, or you see some director working late, thank them if you would. The problems we have here today that we're talking about are pretty high level, but there's a lot of people who come to work every day to be a carpenter or an office worker who ended up, because of COVID, picking up garbage cans on the street or cleaning office buildings because our employees were at risk. So today we present to you a budget, and it is thanks to a variety, conservatism and the CARES Act. The CARES Act, combined with the conservative approach taken for the last 4 years, is the reason that we can make it through to July 1 of next year. The budget presented to you is a balanced budget. The budget presented to you is a doable budget. The budget presented to you is a realistic budget. The message I want to bring to you is that in March of this year, is when we're really going to have to put our nose to the grindstone, because we need to be able to project out with a full accounting of where we are going tax-wise, how we're going to fund the following year. So I know what the issues are, Councilman Carroll and Councilman Wilmot. I will circle around to those. I am not ignoring your comments. I simply want to have a chance to present the balance of the fiscal elements of this budget before we get to a payroll personnel issue. So if I may, I would like at this point to turn it over to Mike Wetzel, our amazing CFO.
Thank you. So I guess I just want to go over, have a little budget overview. Presented to you today is a $65.4 million budget, which is 9.2% drop from last year. Last year was 72.04. Our largest revenue maker is sales taxes. Sales taxes are down. Currently 17.16%, projected, hopefully it's wrong, it's 24.8% down. Like Deborah said, CARES funding, we have received roughly $8.1 million, and we are anticipating another $3.5 million in this fiscal year, which is in this budget. Treasure chest is down 48%. That's all bad news. Now the good news is we have made $3.18 million worth of cuts in expenditures. The retirement system, which is something we can't control, all three of them increased, between 1% and 4% increase. Health insurance went up 5.8% and proposed as a 2% COLA for the city classified employees only. See, we did dip into the fund balance, like you said, Councilman Wilmot, $6.74 million, and that was in order to cover all expenses and revenue shortfalls. But keep in mind, the fund balance will be $17.5 million, which is well in compliance with our bond covenant mandates. Response, just so everyone knows, we have been very proactive in trying to save money, create revenue streams. For one, everybody knows we refinanced the fire pension loan. That is going to save us $140,000 over the life of the loan. The sewer revenue bonds we've saved, we're going to save $1.3 million over the life of that loan, and we're currently in the process of refinancing the 2030 bonds, which will free up $3 million in the first 2 years of that loan for cash flow purposes. I can answer any other questions, or did you want to take it?
Does anyone have any questions unrelated to personnel? Because I'd like for Mike to be able to answer those, and then I'll tackle the I'll tackle the big dinosaur in the room.
Councilman Wilmot.
Mr. Wetzel, as far as the unfunded liabilities concerned, I do have some concerns about that, and you indicated that there's increases this year. Where do we stand overall with the unfunded liability for retirements?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but we don't have any.
Let me take that. Councilman Wilmot, the city does not have unfunded liabilities.
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
Yeah,
I wanted to confirm that if we do or don't, and if so, how much, that type of thing. If we have none, that's good news.
Yeah. Now, the state has unfunded liabilities, so you and I, the conversation you and I had is about the variety, the fire retirement, the police retirement, the municipal retirement, lasers, the variety of state retirement systems are all under stress. And you, as a legislator, had to vote on that every year, as I recall. So it's never a good thing when you're dealing with addressing unfunded liabilities in a retirement system. Those of us who might be to Social Security soon are very acutely aware of the fact that the retirement system, the federal retirement system, is underfunded. So at this point, the city has no exposure to unfunded liability for retirement. The only way that would happen is if the state failed to fund. And to date, they have never failed to do that. So at this point, as far as this budget is concerned, Councilman Wilmot, there is no impact of unfunded liabilities.
I appreciate that explanation very much, because it has been asked of me, and I wanted to have that on the record because I think it's important for the people to know, because it is a problem in the state, and we saw it on a regular basis, and it's still there. It's not going to go away for many, many years, and I'm glad to hear that the city has no exposure there. So thank you very much.
I think we should all recognize that we're in a state of emergency, and the administration is working under NIM structure, reflecting that we're in this state of emergency. So I think the right things are being done. You know, we're in the public appearance section of our agenda. Is there anybody in the audience that has a comment concerned? It's
We're finished the public hearing. We're in our discussion. We've already done the public hearing, so we're...
Well, we've been talking about some things. I think if anybody has a question, I would like to open it up to people in the audience, if anybody does have something to say on this matter, because it's important. This is a budget we're talking about. Okay, here are none?
Yes.
Will you finish?
Or you...
I'm prepared to discuss the personnel issues, or y'all can just vote and move on, but you might want to hear. It just depends. I mean, what are you guys prepared? Are you ready for that? Have all the council questions regarding the non-personnel portions of this budget been responded to?
I have questions. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay.
Councilman McKinney.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Council Chair. I just had a couple of questions, and just for clarifications.
Get close to the mic if you would.
Okay. In my review of the budgets, I just wanted to confirm that the fire department and the police department budget is standstill, correct? There were no changes to those allocations? I mean, maybe that's a question for the chief as well. I'm not sure.
You can ask the chief, but the budget that was presented to us was an increase of $330,000 to the police department.
Okay, so it's an increase of $330,000 for the police department. Okay.
Can I? Council Chairman.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, and that, I think I said that last council meeting, and I appreciate you bringing that up. That will continue to stay that way. We're going to always, and I said this, no matter what we have to do and no matter what the chief or I have to ask of this council in the near future, we will absolutely always fund, this administration will fund police, fire, and public works before anything else. So just to go back to what we said last council meeting, that's where we were going with that. But I think we're 300,000 over that too.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Is it working?
Yeah, if you speak loud, we can.
Well, I don't think that. Can you hear me? Okay, now I turned it off. Okay, thank you. Perfect. That's what I wanted, that clarification. And then also, the other questions that I had just had to do, or the other comments that I had, you know, I appreciate the financial conservatism. I think that's at these times, any time of budgeting, I think it's very important to ensure that we are good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and then, you know, of any tax dollars that we receive. I think that it's important to increase the fund budget, because in instances, you know, if another Katrina or another disaster would happen that would greatly affect our infrastructure, we need to be prepared for that. So I think that that's really important. I appreciate that there were some clarifications that I had asked previously, and there are a couple of questions in terms of, let's see, department structures. So I know we discussed that there's obviously going to be some changes in the structure of the city and how roles are going to be. Let's see, the NIM structure as of the post-COVID-19 org chart from September 1st. Is this post-COVID-19 org chart? We're still under the NIM structure, correct?
We are still operating under the NIM structure. Okay. The underlying org chart is the one that basically the payroll and the PAs and all that are based on. So NIMS is the organizational structure under which we're actually currently operating and have many of us doing things we would not normally do. The September 1 org chart is the one that we'll revert to when the emergency is over or we move out of NIMS.
Okay, thank you. And obviously we don't know that time frame at this point. So, so that's a future instance. Okay, well, I think those are the questions. I had a couple other questions at this. Let me find them. Excuse me. Just some clarification questions. So I know that we got the budget letter kind of going over last night, going over all of the changes and the primary impacts. Mostly everything is down as a result of the COVID pandemic, which is to be expected. And we won't know the response going forward. I think the main question that I have, or the main concern that I have is, where we are right now is something in our budget is something that we're going to have to maintain for, for the years to come. The impacts that we have, especially on operating expenses, are, obviously they can change, year to year, or, with another administration in 4 years or 6 years or whenever, because and a different council. But I think right now we just need to make sure that we realize that those impacts are long term. So if we're promoting someone, if we're doing that, that's a long term impact, and it's not just this budget cycle year. This is going to be something that is affected when they get raises, when down the line. So, and I know that we have lots of our higher salaries, or our deputy CAOs and our administrative officers get paid very well. So I think that's just an important thing that we need to make sure that we're. I know we have a study that we're working on for civil service employees, and as well as the plan was to focus on that, getting those in line with other city governments. So I think that we just need to focus on that and make sure that those studies, we get that back. I know we discussed that last budget cycle. So I just want to point that out and let you know that that's something I think all of us as council members need to be paying attention to. So thank you very much. Those are my comments. Thanks. Thank you, Chair.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yeah, I just want to commend the administration for doing what they have done. Look, this China virus has totally destroyed the money through sales tax. We get that. I look at the finance director, and the poor guy's pulling his hair out. As we can see, he's got a little bit left on the top. But in order to make sure that the city runs right and we're spending the tax dollars wisely, when you look at the cuts that were made, when you look at how the city has progressed during the last 6 months, and we have a beautiful, safe community to live in. And I think that this budget is in line, and we should move forward with it.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. I was going to save some comments after the personnel discussion, but I agree with what Councilman Brannigan just said. I think there's been leadership that has shown very conservative moves. We've improved things. Several years ago, we had a charter review committee, and one of the things we looked at that time were salaries for the mayor, salaries for the police chief. And one of the things that I remember standing out in those meetings, especially when we talked about those two positions, was increasing salaries for those people so that we could get qualified people, we would get people that would stay, and people that were committed to the job and dedicated. And I think the people that we're talking about with these few raises that have been given without naming names have stepped up to the plate and hit home runs every time I've asked for assistance for either one of them. They have returned my calls on Labor Day morning, on Saturdays, on Sundays, and in evenings. I've gotten text messages and emails because I'm computerally, if that's a word, challenged. And when we had the Zoom meetings, the first 3 I didn't think I was going to get into because I couldn't figure out the password. And one of those people would send me an email very simply and say, this is what you need to get in. We've attracted quality people in the city of Kenner. We have great employees, and we have some maybe that aren't so great. But the dedication that they have shown since this COVID pandemic and everything else, I think is just something that needs to be stated. And I think we will survive this. I think the presentation we had earlier about Atlantis is great news. This city will continue. We have not missed a beat, as the mayor has said, and I think we will continue to shine. Houses go up for sale out here. They sell very quickly. It is a place that people are attracted to, and I think that will only continue. I do understand maybe some of the raises, some people may look at it and go, that's a lot, and it is. But again, the people that I know this is affecting have stepped up to the plate and are truly deserving because the responsibilities or the additional responsibilities that they have taken on have been met without a hiccup. Thank you very much.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with my colleagues. We got some great employees in the city of Kenner, no question about it. I'm delighted with them too. And that's not the issue. They put out good work product, and they're there, and they work hard. And there's 90% of the budget too, I agree with, if not more. I don't have any problem with that. It's the process. It's strictly the process of promotions versus salary increases. I have a problem with the process, and I think it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and that's my concern. Again, it's nothing personal against any employees, because I think we got great employees here in the city. They do a lot of work. It's difficult, especially during this COVID time, and they had a lot of adjustments taking place. So I just want to make sure the record's clear that that's not the case. It's just the process. So thank you.
I'd like to also comment. This is the budget we're talking about right here. Well over 200 pages. We've had the majority of these numbers for a month. Last night at 8 o'clock, there were emails going back and forth. This is the process that I want to address. We go through this process by line item, just to give you an idea how things have changed. Last year at this time, the deposits in the bank, we were earning 2% on. Today, we're earning 1.12%. That's about a $70,000 hit. I want to assure everybody that's listening today that your administration is looking at this on a line item. There's no reason why we should be having this discussion today. No reason why these emails went back and forth at 8 o'clock last night when we had the majority of this information for over a month. Councilman Brannigan?
In my comments earlier, I said that we have a safe community, and Chief Glaze, I just want to thank you and your officers for doing a great job and keeping our community safe, because that's what causes people to move here. So I left that out earlier.
Councilman Segura.
Thank you, Council President. In following up some of this discussion, and I do thank Ms. Foshee for pointing out an administration that I was familiar with. But even during that administration, I had to make the same types of changes as Mayor Zahn is doing for the purpose of keeping this city on a fast track to be the #1 city. So when you see things that you need to make those adjustments on during the fiscal year, you do have to act and act properly. And I know I'm very proud of one that I did, and that was create the Emergency Management Department. And by doing so and putting the right person in place, that warranted that person to get a decent, workable salary for that job. And we now have a, no question, #1 emergency management department that keeps us a safe city for all concerns, not just hurricanes, for all sorts of events that happen in this city, that department monitors and puts out the messages to this council to be aware of what's going. So if you don't recognize your talent and give them what they need, you lose that talent and then we regress. So I'm very supportive of what's in this budget and what needs to be done to keep this city moving forward, and thank the Zahn administration now for continuing what another administration did. Thank you.
All right, moving forward. We have a motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Segura to approve.
I'm waiting for you, then I'm going to be after you. You have some, you said you wanted to tell me.
Hello, I'm sorry. Ms. Fauché?
Yes, sir, if I might, I'd like to go ahead and talk about the personnel issues now, because we were trying to separate the general financial from personnel, because that seems to be the issue. I wanted to circle back to a question that was asked earlier. Again, Councilwoman McKinney, thank you for giving us that opportunity. Yes, the police are up because that's what it costs to run the police department. The police are not up because they're getting extra money and stuffing in their pockets or doing something untoward. They're up because it is a very expensive thing to do. We have talked to the police chief about ways that he can stabilize his revenue, because this is an elected police chief who has to come to us every year and say, can I have money? So we will work with the police chief, and I'm sure the mayor will have more to talk about this later, but basically, yeah, the police are up and they'll go up every year, because every year it costs more to keep us safe. So we're very grateful that he can do what he does with what we give him. So now I'd like to move to personnel if I could. In 2006, there was a study called the Lincoln-Henney study, and it was of the executive pay. And the executive pay scales came out of the Lincoln-Henney study, and those are still being used today. Last year, we funded the Civil Service Department to have the Archer study done for civil service first. That study is not complete, a variety of reasons. One, there were some delays unrelated to COVID, and then COVID has done nothing helpful to anybody for their timing. So the funds set aside, before Councilman Carroll asked me this question, the funds set aside for the civil service raises, which we were planning to give last January, is still in the account, remaining untouched. It swept last year and got put right back. So we are prepared when the Archer study comes out to be able to fund those pay increases. But in the meantime, what we put in this budget is a 2% COLA. It's simply a start. I feel confident, based on the preliminary numbers that I have seen and the research that we have done, that our guys are going to make, and our ladies and gentlemen, are going to get more than 2%. But 2% is a start. As you know, fire department automatically gets 2%. The civil servants will be getting 2%. And now that I've said really nice things about the police department, the chief will have to figure out how to give them their 2%. But the bottom line here is that we're taking an interim step. It is very important for those people who know that they are out there working every day to know that we're moving in that direction. We didn't just talk about Archer last year and forget and move on. All right, so that is still on the table. After the Archer study is done for civil service, then Archer will be picking up executive. But in the meantime, the pay ranges that we are working off of are from the Lincoln-Henney study from 2006. So we're working off of a 15-year-old ranges. I promise you the salaries for those positions have not gone down in 15 years. Now that I cannot sit directly next to the mayor, I can no longer kick him nor show him my phone when I have looked at the International City County Manager job board to show him that someone doing my job makes twice as much money as I do, and he will then promptly say, perhaps you should apply. So it hasn't really affected my salary as much as let him know that in the world, we are blessed, I tell you, to receive the salaries we receive. But from a reasonableness of those salaries, these salaries are reasonable. What we are talking about is one promotion in your budget. I know it kind of sounded like there were more, because since July 1 of last year, there have been a number of promotions. When you move from one position to another position, then you go from the pay range you were in to the pay range of the position you're going to. The reason there is one in your budget is because we are actually creating a new position, Chief Compliance Officer. So the only person who is actually in your budget right now is a promotion for Adam Campo. I believe what's being raised, both by Councilman Wilmot and by Councilman Carroll, is not that particular promotion, but rather all promotions. Should promotions come in front of the council the same way raises do? I assert no, because the mayor has the authority to hire and fire within the majority of categories. There are a couple of executives who have to come to you. The city attorney is one. I think maybe the public works director. There's others. But the majority he can hire and fire himself. And he has been hiring and, I don't want to say firing, but he's been hiring within the Langley ranges the whole time I've been here. We have never hired anyone outside of those ranges to my knowledge. And we have gone back and looked now that we've done this. So while we're talking about a process, what we're dealing with is the fact that employees move from one position to another because of their skill set, because of an availability, because of need within the city. The reason you have all those org charts in there, I know it kind of looks silly, but you need to see how much turmoil and transition we have been through this past year. Your very first org chart, we lovingly refer to it as the green org chart. The green org chart was from March of last year, from May of last year. That was in your budget book. So the green org chart that sits in front of you is the one that we were working on a year ago. You will see that when Chris Fortunato left and Lee took her position, at least initially as the acting DCAO and ultimately the DCAO, the second org chart came into effect. Then in March, the NIMS situation. On March 14, we declared an emergency. On March 24, the NIMS org chart was put out. That is the org chart from an operational, getting things done in the city. That is the manner in which we're working right now. And the final org chart, which I think is the one that reflects both the changes in the positions we've talked about, as well as the new organization after NIMS. That's the fourth one you have in front of you. These are informational. You're not voting on them. You're not approving them. We're simply giving this information in terms of this is how we are working. So I am grateful that Councilman Brennan did not name names, but I want to, because I want everyone to know that there are people attached to this. This is not just a random, we don't want to give people the salary range that goes with their promotion. So the people affected by this, those who have received promotions since July 1, are Mike Claus, who was promoted to the IT director, Heidi Glorioso, who was promoted to the assistant director in Main Street, Kenny Melvin, who was promoted to the public works director, Ed Rapier, who was promoted to the city attorney, Eric Mund, who was promoted to the deputy city attorney, Chad Pitfield, who was promoted to the deputy CAO of logistics and field operations, and then the one that is in your budget, because it's a new position, Adam Campo, for Chief Compliance Officer. So I recognize when we say this is not personal, it's not to us, but it's very personal to them. The mayor did not make these choices randomly, and he did not select salaries randomly. He stayed well within the salary ranges. If, the salaries will change, the ranges will change when the Archer study comes back, but until then, all we have to work with is a 15-year-old pay study. At the end of the day, Councilman Woolman, I totally respect what you're saying, but if we get to the point where we are actually approving what the mayor pays an incoming person, what you really need is a city manager. You don't need a mayor. Now, I'll volunteer for it because I see how much they make, but that's not the form of government you currently have. You currently have a mayor-council form of government, and you got to let the mayor do something, and that's one of the things he gets to do. So I am super grateful for the chance to present this, and now, if y'all have objections or comments, I'd be happy to respond. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
And to add to that, I don't think I need to remind all the council, but maybe some. When you look at these names, because Ms. Foshee did call them out, and if there would have been if there's some amendments that pop up, we will make sure that those names are called out instead of as line items, because I think it affects more than just the director. It affects their family also, but it also affects the council. It affects its administration. Let's just take Mike Claus and Adam Campo. How many times has each and every one of us called him? Councilman Brennan said it best. Look, I'm just like him, computer illiterate probably. I'd had problems with Zoom also. A few of us did, and we continue to have issues every day, not just with a pandemic. Heidi. Well, economic development just came before us. I don't think anybody's got a complaint with Heidi Glorioso. She's assisting Candace Watkins in what she's doing. And I hate to call these names out, but I think it's time to remind everyone and also the public what these people do. The city attorneys. When I moved Lee Roussel up to be a deputy CEO, I didn't have any pushback on that. I could do it, but nobody complained about it because Lee's had a great relationship with each and every one of you all. But it needed a city attorney. I needed a deputy city attorney, so I did it. And nobody has really had an issue with those two choices. Chad and Kenny. I'm not going to go into detail, but obviously, each and every one of you all pick up the phone and call Kenny Melvin. I know it because they tell me when you call. Kenny Melvin makes sure that everything happens. Well, maybe not at larges. I see Christie's saying something, but the district council people absolutely do that, and some at larges do call them. But we do know that Kenny has been an asset in the past with me as a councilman when I sat in Councilman Hayes' seat, and he's an asset now. And when he came back around, he wanted to do part-time, but you know what he finally said? You know what? Let me go ahead and do full-time and help the city of Kenner. And that leads me to Chad Pitfield. I don't think I have to say what Chad Pitfield did. And look, I'm talking about these people. I don't want any other directors or assistant directors to be upset or anybody in the administration, because each and every one of you all are important to me. But these are the guys with, obviously, on the chopping block right now. But Chad Pitfield made sure that 22,000 items, and I think that's all I have to say, were picked up throughout the city. No one had a problem during those times, especially during COVID. So we were doing the job what other people do with the leadership of Chad. Like I said, it goes for all the administration, all my directors and all my assistant directors. Everyone does a great job, and it's hard, I'm gonna say what Councilman Brennan said again, it's hard to find people without offering them the right amount of money. And I remember that charter review committee. I was still with the parish, but I was speaking with Councilman Brennan at the time when he was on that board. We were looking at what they were doing. We knew where Kenner needed to go because Kenner is an important part of Jefferson Parish also. Any District 4 councilman for the parish realizes that. So I was watching what they were doing, and I was supporting Councilman Brennan as a board member at the time, making sure that those things happen for the future of the city of Kenner. So again, I hate to put names with line items, but when it comes to this, I think some people need to be reminded how fortunate I am as the mayor to have these people, and how fortunate you are as the front line, because having been a district councilman in Kenner and also the parish, I know how many times you call a director. I did it. And it's important that you have those well-paid people to get the city services done. Thank you, Councilman Hayes.
I want to personally say that I'm embarrassed that we had to name personal names in this discussion. Again, we've had over a month to talk about these items. For these items to come up late, 8 o'clock last night, it's not the run, not the way to run a multi-million-dollar, $70 million company. And that's what we are. I'm sorry, and I'm personally apologizing to the people's names that were just mentioned. But they make up the team that makes this city go. And Lord help us. The names that were mentioned, we know sitting here how important they are to us. Mr. Wetzel, do you have any other comments?
I do, but I was going to let Councilman Carroll speak first.
Councilman Carroll, I didn't
Yes.
see you, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank everyone for their comments and concern. I have two questions before I go into some of Director Wenzel. As far as the $300,000 from the police department, are they related to personnel, or are they related to purchases or operational? What's that $300,000 for?
The police department's budget is mostly personnel.
So the $300,000 was adding more people or promoting more people or increasing more people?
That I will defer to the chief.
But, thank you, Chief. And that's pretty much why I asked the question, because those increases are related to more operational as opposed to personnel, just like we increased that. We had a $500,000 contract for grass cutting and landscaping. It wasn't, that is something that is going to happen from year to year. So what the Chief described is operational, not additional personnel. What the problem is that I have with is the increases in salaries / promotions. And I adamantly disagree with Councilman Hayes as it relates to it's too late to ask questions. It's never too late to ask questions. First of all, a lot of this information we did not have a month ago. We did not have it a month ago. But it doesn't matter. If the question comes up, then you answer the question. You ask the question, because there's no dumb question. You got to ask the question. Also, I'd like to, thank Ms. Fauché. Her and I have a great working relationship, and I have to always remember Ms. Fauché is an attorney. And what I found out, we have a lot more attorneys here than I realized, because even though we disagree sometimes on many things, her MO, the way she operated, she gives me that attorney's spin on it first. I'm not saying that in a negative way, but I'm saying she gives me stuff. I ask one question, she gives me an answer to other stuff. And a lot of that has happened today. As myself and Councilman Wilmot, we were not questioning, the great job everyone is doing or anyone's job. The simple thing we were questioning about at this time during this pandemic, to do it now. and nor would I or was going to bring up the names as Ms. Fauché brought them up and whomever else. So I wouldn't have done that because I prefer to have those conversations, other ways. But since the names were brought up, Ms. Fauché, do you feel comfortable saying what the increases were? Because if we're going to bring the names up, we may as well be full disclosure, put it all out, I'm not asking you to, I'm saying, do you want to, since we brought the names up?
I think what I'm being told is you also have them. Do you want to bring them up? You want me?
Of course I have
It's
them, but
fine.
I'm asking you to, since you brought the names up, to address it.
Councilman, with all due respect, if you have the numbers, feel free to read them in, because yes, we have the same numbers you have, but feel free to read the amounts in if you want to.
Of course, I want to hear them, but I didn't bring the names up. What I'm asking
No,
Ms.
we brought up the
Fauché-
names. You can bring up the amounts.
I'm
It's
asking
fine.
Ms. Fauché, now either you say yes or no, Ms. Fauché, would you mention, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
It's not that I don't want her to do it, but if you have them, go ahead. Look, it's not affecting this administration. We've made it public. It's public record. If it's affecting certain council members, feel free to do it. If you have the amounts, go ahead and do it.
Mayor, it's not affecting me, but the process that we normally do as it relates to the clerks and everyone, we may ask a question for it to go on record. I'm asking her to say it. If she's
Right.
comfortable saying it, I'm fine. If she's not, then I'm just going to go on to the rest of my...
I'll answer it for her.
Yes.
It's roughly $150,000.
No, individually, because we called out individual names.
I'm not going to allow her to go individually because we've already mentioned the names. If the $150,000 total out of $1 million saved affects the council, look, any council person can read it into the record. She doesn't need to read into the record. I'm not going to sit here and put numbers. This administration is not going to put numbers and amounts on names. We name the names to make a point. If that's not good enough for some members of the council, then certain members of the council or the whole council can read the amounts in and do it to the public. I mean, you have exactly what she has, Councilman.
Yes, I do.
Okay, then go ahead and do it.
I do have it, but I don't want to do it. I asked her, but I'm going to go on. I didn't bring the names up.
And I told her not to.
I didn't bring the names up. Ms. Fauché brought the names up. I was asking, was she comfortable? If you don't want her to do it, fine. But all I'm saying is, if we brought the names up, we should have brought up the dollar amount. And if you don't want to do it, I'm fine with that. It doesn't change how I feel about it.
Right.
I'm just saying I'm going to go on, and maybe in the future I will, but I will do that. But not right now, because I asked, she didn't want to do it, I'm going to go on.
And for the record, the administration is saying it's roughly $150,000.
Yes, we get that. But my question was individually. No. And I don't want to go back and forth with this, but that was my question. And you are refusing to say it. So I'm fine with that. Also, like I said, the fact that the question or the disappointment that I had with the increase during this time was that it is still during the pandemic. And to go back what Ms. Fauché said, yes, we have a fantastic workforce as it relates to some of the people picking up garbage cans, picking up trash, and whatever you want to call it. She also mentioned about the structure for the pay raises. Well, we are still waiting for those pay raises. They're not in place yet, but we are putting these in place right now. As I've said in the past, I will not support or cannot support any raises unless it addresses the people who are making less. That is just my position. We need to address that because these people, these individuals are working at somewhere below poverty line. When individuals that work for the city can go to the food bank where Ms. Attorney Shaw is one of the directors and still be able to get to receive, that is not a good situation for the city of Kenner. We have to address the individuals who are making less than $10 an hour before we address increasing other individuals that are far beyond that. Now, this let me be full disclosure, even during this pandemic, that is not the time to do it right now. I would not suggest doing it right now because it's a pandemic for everyone. So those individuals will also have to, because the most important thing is that you have a job. And no matter how great a job you do, you have something that millions of people don't. So the accolades that you get for your job is great, but the mere fact that you have a job, that is a priority right now for you and your family, and that is our priority right now. I don't believe any of the increases, any of the job changes or promotions, if they did not happen, would stop the city from functioning from the great job that we do. I don't believe that will happen. That is my personal opinion. I think all of those individuals, they are not selfish. They understand their value. They understand that they will continue to do their job. And at an appropriate time, I will be the first one to say yes. Because as Ms. Fauché said, she brought up Mr. Campo, he does a fantastic job. He's the only one, well, not the only one, but some people have already started receiving the increases before this. Some will receive it after this. But Mr. Campo is, whenever I call, like everyone else, is there to support. But he has to wait till after we vote today. Some people started receiving it before. Now, even maybe it should have been everybody as opposed to some and not others. But that's besides the point. The point is, our ability to ensure the solvency of the city is our job. I do not believe, because of the pandemic, and only because of that we should be doing it right now. Should it be something we talk about? Yes. Should we have had more conversations? Obviously, we should have had more conversations about this. I believe that we should talk about this. There's no set time to talk about something. Anytime we need to talk about it, then we should talk about it. So, that is my position. That is what I believe. It is not any indication on anybody's job performance. It is an indication that for the city, and I look at things that, as it relates to me and my family, yes, we have to cut back on things to be able to get through this. But it doesn't mean we decrease on one end and increase on the other end. I think that is counterproductive. We are doing a good job of maintaining it, but we are increasing at the other end. Only because of that. That is my position, that we should not be doing it right now. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Councilman Carroll, let's agree to disagree.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to call the measure.
Mr. Chairman, are you calling the question? If I could get a motion in a second on to call the question. I have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Segura, to call the question at this time. Council members, please vote. Councilmember Segura?
Yay.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney? Councilmember Wilmot?
Nay.
Councilmember Carroll?
Nay.
Motion passes 5-2. Councilmembers Wilmot and Carroll are opposed. Back to your original motion, 9A, to approve.
Let's, the motion, if I can remember correctly, it seems like it was yesterday. We have a motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Segura to approve. Let's vote by roll call.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yay.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Nay.
Councilmember Carroll?
And this is 9A, correct?
This is to approve 9A.
Yeah. Nay.
Councilmember Segura?
Yay.
Motion passes 5-2. Councilmembers Wilmot and Carroll are opposed. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,755, an ordinance adopting, superseding, and amending capital budget for the City of Kenner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021.
We have a motion, Kinney, second by Councilmember Brannigan, to open the public hearing. Council members, let's vote.
Councilmember Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Councilmember McKinney?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yay.
Councilmember Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to open your hearing.
Is there anybody wishing to address the council on this matter? Hearing none, we have a member McKinney, seconded by Council Member Brannigan, to close the public hearing. Council members, let's vote.
Councilmember Brennan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kenny?
Yes.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Secure?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 to close your hearing.
We have a motion by Council Member McKinney, seconded by Council Member Brannigan, to approve.
Any discussion before we vote?
Council Member McKinney?
Yes. Thank you, Council Chair. I just have just a clarification. From looking at the numbers and reviewing the the capital budget, the numbers do increase. So I just want a clarification on that and why it is appearing that the capital budget is increasing rather than decreasing given the changes. You know, obviously we're in the middle of pandemic. So if you can clarify that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. So the capital budget this year includes some things that were last year in the operating side, in the repairs and maintenance on the operating side. So you have repairs and maintenance and operating repairs and maintenance type things in capital. We decided to put all the repairs and maintenance items in capital. So you'll see your street millage, most of your operating side was depleted and it is now in capital. So all the expenses will be charged there. We do have another one was the auto rental tax that's dedicated to recreation. Previously that was just sitting in the general fund and funding the operations of the department. Now that is solely their capital budget. Nothing else was added. I mean, and we added $800,000 from the fund balance to fund a fire apparatus that the city desperately needs, as well as citywide building maintenance.
Thank you. And thank you. There are just a couple of, if you look under citywide building maintenance, there's an authorization, Pontchartrain Center, Rivertown Museum Complex, the Office of Motor Vehicle. Is that me? I don't know. The Office of Motor Vehicle Facility Improvements. I know that's per ordinance. Just if you could detail just a couple of those, just so we understand what those are. Some of the, I'm most interested in citywide building maintenance, and then Pontchartrain Center and Rivertown Museum Complex. I know those are per statute, so I just want to get the details of those things. Sure.
So that's dedicated revenues. The Pontchartrain Center and Rivertown is hotel motel tax given to us by revised statute 47-321C and B. So that is dedicated to Rivertown and Pontchartrain Center. You mentioned the motor vehicles. That revenue is dedicated to the improvement of that building. We have Veterans Corridor enhancements, which are basically your right-of-ways. So that money that we get for right-of-ways is dedicated to Veterans Corridor enhancements. We do have the councilmatic funding that is dedicated to you from, by ordinance, 25% of what the treasure chest brings in, divided 5 ways.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Ms. Fauché, I'm back at you again. I want everybody, I really appreciate our conversations. I'm more nocturnal, and I have a tendency to call Ms. Fauché when it's late. So I appreciate her taking my call, even though, you know, most people may have gone to bed or shut down for the day. So I appreciate that. But as it relates to the capital, Ms. Fauché, you and I discussed also, because it did decrease. It did decrease. We are looking at, I'm not on?
You are.
Or you're not? Yeah, since the numbers for each of us has decreased, there is a plan or something you were telling me that we're going to try to do as it relates to specifics. If you can go into details and share that, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. So we, as you know, we put out a street study last year. We literally just yesterday got the response in. It breaks down the target areas within each district. Once we have looked at it, made sure it's very clear and we understand everything they've said, then we'll distribute it to the individual council members. And it is our plan to, we don't have that much incoming new roads capital, but we intend to try to fund those projects within your district using roads capital. Now look, I'm gonna hit you up for your councilmanic funds first, but we will have a little bit of, we'll have a little bit of backstop for you because of that. And so I look forward to the chance to sit down with you, talk about the roads priorities within your district. To the extent that you were using your councilmanic funds for anything else, we won't really necessarily have a supplemental funding source, but for roads, at the very least, being able to use some of the millage in every district to be able to provide some improvements.
Yeah, and thank you. You know, the roads, obviously, District 1 is the oldest district in the city, which means our roads are older. I'd like to thank the co-director and director, of Public Works for helping prioritize streets. I had a conversation today with former councilwoman from the city of Kenner, Ms. Aguilar, and relating to streets. So this is something that obviously we won't be able to do all of it, but we have to prioritize it and to be able to address the streets that are in more dire straits than others. So we look forward to that in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes, thank you. I just have one more quick question. It has to do with the computer and technology. The citywide software, that's a new authorization of 102. I don't know if you can answer that, or what is that dedicated to, or does that have to do with the pavement management system? That's just something I'm interested in because I think I'm excited about that. So I just want to.
I think you're talking about the yearly payment to Munis, which is our accounting software. That,
right. There's another authorization for 102. There's one allocated for Munis, and then which is about 190, and then the other one was 102. So.
Yeah, that's, if you want to get Mike to, yeah. Clause.
We're going to get the expert to answer the questions
And
now.
if the sound goes out while he's away from the soundboard, there's nothing we can do. So.
Mike,
Yes.
if you take your mask off.
Oh. That's covering all the licensing we have around the city, all the server licenses, the software licenses, Adobe, all that kind of stuff. We added it all up into one big.
So that's not new software. That's just the maintenance of software
Yeah.
licenses that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's disappointing. I was hoping it had to do with the pavement management system, but thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? I believe we need a motion for Councilmember McKinney. Ms. Fauché.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to present anything. Y'all are just making me feel terrible here. I'm kidding. Okay, so one of the things that has come up a couple of times is when people ask us, well, wait a minute, look at the capital budget. It's only, $1 million or whatever. You must not be doing very much in the city of Kenner. That is the reason that this year's capital budget actually includes the capital projects. That is on page 9, 10, and 11. So when you put capital money this year into the budget, it goes to that project, but it doesn't show up on your budget again next year. So there's a lot of money in capital, but it's in a capital budget from a prior year, and it's working on an actual project. So I thought it better, and I think we're going to use this going forward. In addition to your capital budget, which is just what we're putting in capital this year, you also need to see where prior year's capital has gone and what projects are going on in the city of Kenner. So just to give you a heads up, and for the public who may be listening, we have a total of $56,279,427 worth of capital projects ongoing in the city of Kenner today. There are $24,921,000 worth of 2030 projects underway, $19,700,000 worth of wastewater. There are 312,000 additional wastewater. We have $3.6 million worth of FEMA projects, $700,000 worth of DOTD, $1.3 million in drainage, $80,000 in roads. That's all that's going on today, not going forward. And then we have a couple of projects we're working on with the parish, and funds are being invested in both the Bainbridge improvement, West Napoleon. I can't give you the numbers on that. That's actually coming from the parish. Lake Pontchartrain breakwater, the jetty that's being put in, money coming from Go Mesa and the parish. We have a $3.8 million investment going on right now in the fire station. The contractor was selected just this past week. And then we have in recreation $1.6 million, which includes $600,000 for the Buddy Lawson concession building and $1 million for the boat launch improvements. So when you see the capital budget, I think it could be misleading. I think it might, because we don't carry forward projects, I think it is misleading in terms of what is actually going on within the city. So we're going to make this a permanent addition to the budget, so every year you'll at least be able to get that update.
Thank you. Again, any questions? This might be something, Ms. Fosha, that we want to put on our webpage. It's good information. All right, we have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
May I clarify? You've already closed your hearing. This is approving the ordinance, sir.
All right, Council members McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to approve.
Councilman McKinney? Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,756, a third supplemental bond ordinance authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $35 million and no dollars of sales tax refunding bonds, Series 2020 of the City of Kenner, State of Louisiana, in accordance with the terms of a general bond ordinance, prescribing the form and certain terms and conditions of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
We have a motion by Hayes, seconded by Councilman Brennan, to open the public hearing. Council members, let's vote.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney? Motion passes 7-0 to open your hearing.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address this motion? And I want to thank our bond attorney and our financial advisors for still being with us. Does anybody have any questions? Hearing none? We have a motion by Hayes, seconded by Councilman Brennan, to close the public hearing. Council members, let's vote.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0 to close your hearing.
We have a motion by Hayes, seconded by Councilman Brannigan, to approve. I'm sorry, Councilman Brennan, to approve.
It's all right, Mr. Hill.
Any discussion?
You're always on my mind.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilman McKinney,
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Councilman Carroll.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,757, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,757, adopted August 6, 2020, to delete the word annually from section 1.
We have a motion by Councilman Segura, seconded by Councilman Brannigan to approve. Council members, let's vote.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilman McKinney, Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Councilman Carroll,
Yay.
Councilman Segura.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13 is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, the city, to authorize the renewal of the levy and collection of an ad valorem tax for the purpose of constructing, improving, equipping, maintaining, and/or operating the fire department buildings and facilities, for acquiring, maintaining, and operating fire department vehicles and equipment, and for paying salaries and benefits of the fire department personnel, and further authorizing the submission of an application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission and other governmental agencies in connection with the proposed election, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
We have a motion by Councilman Brennan, seconded by Councilman Hayes to approve.
Councilman Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilman McKinney,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Councilman Carroll,
Yay.
Councilman Segura,
Yay.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, the city, to authorize the renewal of the levy and collection of an ad valorem tax for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, and/or operating garbage collection and disposal facilities and/or services in and for the city, including salaries and benefits of garbage department personnel, and further authorizing the submission of an application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission and other governmental agencies in connection with the proposed election, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
We have a motion by Councilman Segura, seconded by Councilman Brannigan to approve.
Councilman Wilmot has his hand up, sir.
Please.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you. Just for the record, Ms. Foshee, if you could, 13A, 13B, and 13C, just so we can have a clarity on this. All these are renewals, correct?
Yes, sir, these are renewals.
Okay, that's the main thing I wanted to stress, and thank you.
Any further discussion? Council members, Councilman Brennan, please vote.
Yes.
Councilman McKinney,
Yes.
Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Councilman Carroll,
Yay.
Councilman Segura,
Yay.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13C is a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, the city, to authorize the renewal of the levy and collection of the ad valorem tax for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, and/or operating the city's wastewater collection, treatment, and disposal system, including salaries and benefits of sewage department personnel, and further authorizing the submission of an application to the Louisiana Bond Commission and other governmental agencies in connection with the proposed election, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Segura to approve.
Councilman McKinney,
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Councilman Carroll,
Yay.
Councilman Segura,
Yay.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan,
Yes.
Councilman Brennan.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,758, an ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Office of Facility Planning and Control, FPC, for Lincoln Manor Subdivision Drainage Improvement, FPNC, project number 50-MF1-20-01 for the Department of Public Works.
A motion by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Wilmot to approve.
Wait, Glenn?
Yeah. But I wanted to say something. I'd like to, on behalf of myself and the subdivision of the Lincoln Manor subdivision, I'd like to thank the mayor, the administration, Mr. Snyder, and all of the engineers and particularly Representative Stagney for their support in this project for the Lincoln Manor subdivision. This will greatly improve the drainage situation in Lincoln Manor. It won't totally improve it, but this is a start. So I want to thank everybody for their support, for the funding, and for everything else that goes towards this, and we look forward to getting started with this real soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, I think this has been a capital budget for about 13 years. So
At least.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too just wanted to make comment on it, and it's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate and thank the administration for working and getting this done. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
I do too, and I want to thank Councilman Carroll for working with us. We've reached out to many people with this, and I think we get some parish help also with other projects that have some things to do in District 1. But Councilman, always do that. State Representative Joe Stagney was very, very helpful with this, along with Gary Smith. Something that's been in capital outlay for 13 years. Again, things are getting done right now like this, like Laketown. Things are getting done that weren't done in the past. So thanking Debbie earlier, like I did, I got to absolutely thank Joe Stagney and also Gary Smith for their hard work. 13 years sitting there in capital outlay and finally becoming a reality. Hats off to you, Councilman Carroll, for being the councilman that will be the one that will actually be able to take some of the district credit on it and with this administration and say, I produced this for the Lincoln Manor people. So thanks to everyone.
Madam Clerk.
May I, one comment? I just want to also thank former Representative Wilmot. He made sure it got on House Bill 2. We could just never get it funded. So for the 13 years it was on House Bill 2, part of that is to you. So thanks for trying, and I'm glad we finally got this across, heading in the right direction.
Councilman Wilmot?
I just simply said thank you. Thank you.
I was actually calling the vote.
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney? Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,759, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive proposal from Beacon Air Conditioning in an amount not to exceed $9,998 to replace a shorted 30-ton compressor on the main chiller for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,760, an ordinance ratifying an emergency purchase for the parts and labor in the amount of $12,007.36 from Covington Sales and Service Incorporated for the Department of Parkways.
Motion by Councilman Brannigan, seconded by Councilman Brennan to approve.
Councilman Skewer?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance authorizing a public hearing and approving Amendment Number 1 to the fiscal year 2020 Annual Action Plan for the proposed Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $434,252 for the Community Development Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees. Councilman Segura?
Thank you. I'm sure the mayor was probably going to mention, but he got tied up. Halloween is coming up in a week or two, and the city, as it's been doing for a number of years, trunk or treat, and as that has progressed and went from the Mosbertolino to Pontchartrain Center, and then indoors of the Esplanade Mall, which was phenomenal with its response, and would have been at least that much or more this year, but with COVID, it's going to be trunk or treat drive-through, and so encourage parents who have concerns to come and drive through, and we'll be there to help out and still allow trick-or-treating in the COVID fashion.
Council Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
Since we're on that topic, yes, Mr. Pitfield was going to actually give the details on that, so thank you for the lead-in. We appreciate it. If we could call on Deputy CEO Chad Pitfield to make some comments in detail on what time, where at, all the things that are going on, how you can sign up for it. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it'll be on Halloween night, afternoon, I should say, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 at Kenner City Park. It's going to be at Loyola and Vintage. For anyone that's coming out there, it's going to be, you're going to enter going northbound on Loyola, and you're going to enter the park at the very first entrance you come to, right past the Oakland Plantation subdivision, right by the dog park. That is where you're going to enter. You're going to continue northbound through that shell parking lot toward the front of the pavilion. You will exit out on Vintage going to the eastbound. Just to give people an idea of how the route's going to be. We have a great number of participants that will be there to hand out candy and treats and what have you to everyone that's coming through. We do ask you to try the best to, you're going to hang your bucket or basket out of the window. That's where the treats will be placed in. So try not to put, 5 or 6 kids in the car because you can only fit so many hands out the window. So try to do your best with that, but just know that we're trying to do our best to still make it happen. Aside from treats, we do have a special surprise from a group that normally has participated with us over the past several years to document this with a family photo for all of you. Still inside your vehicle, not having to come out, but I would like to bring kudos to the Church on a Mission, which operates out of this facility again here in the city of Kenner, for coming up with that idea. Again, not going to release too many of the details, but I'll just tell you don't want to miss it.
Thank you, Chad. And I'd also like to encourage the kids, even though this is not the best way to display your costume in a car, handing your hand out the window, but please, you feel free to dress up in costumes. We want to see them.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilman Carroll, I just wanted to try and help address the questions you had on the operating budget earlier. I tried to at that time, but I got cut off when the question was called. So I want to go on record and say, basically, I did a little math, not much, but a little bit. 6 employees with promotions of a total of $150,000. That's an average of $25,000 increase per employee. So just wanted to give you that average. So that's all. Thank you.
Madam Clerk. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we talked about Laketown earlier, and I like to just mention that as Ms. Watson and as the mayor alluded to, in Rivertown, there's a movie going on. I like to, publicly say that with the mayor from his first day on the job, one of our questions was about the Rivertown area. And I've been around for 4 different mayors. And I would like to say that Mayor Zahn has kept his promise. He has brought back life to different areas in the Rivertown area. And what's bigger than that is, from the prior administration, and I'm not afraid to say this, it wasn't any effort. There was no effort given. Not that we understand things takes time to happen, but if you don't put an effort in, nothing is going to happen. So I would like to thank him for his continuous effort. Things have improved a lot. They're going to get better, but I want to thank for the effort, because it's always there, no matter what we do. Now the movie's going on, so all of those things that are happening is because of his administration, his efforts from General Services, Public Works, and all of the department that it takes to ensure that when we do something, it's just not that a do, but we do it in a way that supports the organization, which will have a long lasting for other people wanting to come. Also, I would like to remind everyone, besides the movie, early voting has started. So if you plan on going early voting, on my trip here this morning, the line was from the door at the voters registration all the way to Williams Boulevard. So if you have any concerns or challenges with your back or your legs, you may want to bring a chair. And also, Mayor Zahn, I would like to ask, looking at it, I've seen a number of seniors out there, and there are no portalettes. So I think because this is going to be going on, I'm sure, for many days, if we can put one on Short Street and maybe on minor restroom facilities, at least to go into the restroom, that would help the situation if you can support with that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Carroll, I appreciate that, and it's getting back to Rivertown. It's an important area. It's worth taking our time and doing the right thing down there, and I appreciate those words because, yes, from the very beginning, I was like, don't forget about Rivertown as we're concentrating on Laketown. I've always been equal with that, and I think that's important. It has been forgotten, but I do want to correct one thing. It probably wasn't forgotten by the previous administration, because that was Councilman Segura. I think you meant previous. But I don't want to take it. I think we just need to clear that up. I think that's where you were going with that.
Yeah, okay, previous. Yeah.
I'll help you out with that one. But I understand that, and I did get a few calls this morning about the portalettes. I'm gonna call the register of voters also and see if he can work with us with that, because like I told people, I'm like, yeah, it's in Kenner, but it's not our facility, but it's not our entity. So I'm going to call Dennis DeMarco and see if he can work with us with that, because we're probably going to go on with that for a few days like that.
Yes.
So the good news is people are voting. So that's
Yes.
the good news, and
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that. But I did have those concerns, and we will continue to have the concerns with Rivertown and bring it to a different level. The school is not there anymore. The school decided to move on. That's going to be a building also we can concentrate on. We have the Children's Museum that we can concentrate on. We're going to concentrate on a few things. So
Okay.
we're going to move forward. So,
Yes.
And I appreciate your help with it.
Yes. And as it relates to the portalettes with Mr. DeMarco, the administration, if there is something that I can help financially to do that, I am willing to, because it is in District 1. Many people from all over the city will be there, and I think it's something important to have. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilmember McKinney.
Yes, thank you. Mayor Zahn, I know that you're not in charge of the Office of Motor Vehicles, but in Rivertown, that just reminded me, is that office back open now? Okay.
It's open.
Okay.
We had another issue, open back up again. So yes, look, that's something we probably have to address eventually, because there are issues with the building.
Okay.
I mean, these entities were put in Rivertown, and look, I love that they were put in Rivertown for the traffic flow, but they probably should have been put into buildings that were in a little bit better condition or had been rehabbed into better condition. So there's some things that we're still dealing with.
And some of that funding is in the capital budget, though, that we
Yes.
approved, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
I'd also like to congratulate the administration. It seems to really be working. Hearing a lot of good comments about the new procedures with the... Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 48 years. First of all, I want to open, this is a horrible venue. I mean horrible. We can't hear a word none of you all are saying. There's absolutely no reason why we cannot conduct these council meetings in our council chamber. Harahan's council chamber is half the size of ours, and they have social distancing, and they conduct their meetings in their chamber. So I tell you, this is a horrible venue, and I hope y'all go back to our council chamber where these meetings belong. Now, I want to give y'all some figures on this China virus. As of October the 13th, 2,510,319 tests have been done in this state. 175,810 positive cases. Negative cases, which is something no one wants to talk about. 2,337,509. Recovery, 157,873. These numbers do not dictate the damage that's been done to our local economies and the state's economy. This governor has politicized this virus since day one. His decision to extend phase 3 to November 6th was purely politically driven. Our local leadership should be up there right now lobbying that legislature for this governor to open up this state. The damage that's been done here, the Treasure Chest Casino, revenue's down 26.3%. 340 people laid off, lost their jobs. These numbers don't dictate that, man. They never did. This thing has been politicized since day one. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
If I could get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Councilman.
Mr. Mayor.
I just for the viewing audience, I just want everybody to know that's watching this right now. Personally, I don't think it's horrible, but there's one member of the audience, I believe, here, and it's Mr. Al Morella. So I think the tape will come across great for the viewing public, and that's probably where people are watching it. I do want to say we probably did draw a little bit more than one on Zoom. I think at sometimes we were up into the 30s, 20s, higher 20s or the 30s, maybe even a little bit higher than that for some council meetings. So just so the viewing public knows, no one's experiencing the comment horrible because there's only one person of the public, which is Mr. Morella.
I want to thank Mark and his crew. These really helped me out today, these speakers right here. So, but I agree, this is not the best alternative. Councilman Segura.
Well, you were entertaining the motion. I was going to try to do that.
Do you make a motion to adjourn?
I certainly will.
Do we have a second? Adjourn. Thank you.